big dumb animals in the military. We're like, what'd that guy do? I'm doing just what that guy did. What's going on in this industry? Just what those people told me. And I found I was really annoyed because I would read all the different forums, all the Reddit stuff, all the APC stuff, the depth of knowledge that I could gain. And there was nothing that had a roadmap to it. It annoyed the hell out of me. The business of aviation, there's conversations with pilots, but there's nothing in the gap of like, how do I become a professional aviator?
Okay, for anyone who doesn't somehow know you yet, who is Nik Fialka today?
Oh man, we're already starting. Here we go.
Yeah, we are, dude. We're in.
Who am I? That's a really good question. Well, I'm kind of nobody. My name is Nik Fialka. I am a retired Navy helicopter pilot, and I'm like one of the ones that fought from the bottom up to try to get to the airlines. I'm a captain at a major airline, and I run a podcast called the Ready For Pushback podcast over with Spitfire Elite Interview Consulting Company. We're the #1 interview prep service in the world of aviation. And the best part about us, we're not going to teach you a canned answer. We're going to teach you who you are, and that's how you're going to crush. So I guess that's me.
Okay, I love it. Now we're at that. So we'll call that the YouTube view. That's the 70,000 foot view, because there's so much more behind the scenes. Because I know some of it, but I don't know a lot of what we're going to get into today. So one of the things that because Ready For Pushback has become a known voice in aviation media.
Yeah,
Um,
wild.
in fact, you should come next year to Oshkosh for AirVenture, where they have the podcasters forum. I got to sit in on this year. There was a couple people up there. I was the one podcast nobody in the audience knew who it was, which is fine because there was a lot of GA people, but the people that I met, it was really interesting, and you should do it. So that's an aside.
How many people showed up to watch you?
30, 40, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe. It was cool though, because some of the guys up on stage, people knew. By the way, for all the ladies out there, I say guys because it was only guys. There are very few women in aviation podcasting.
Yeah.
And if there
any?
there was a couple that I had on the show a while ago who were mental health related.
Yes.
And that was really good. I think they've since stopped the podcast. I haven't seen it in a while. But what I would recommend is if you're interested or you like getting behind a mic, start a podcast or at least a YouTube video series and make it directed at women in aviation. It's not Women in Aviation International, but your own thing. It's good for everybody out there.
I think there's a lot of room in the YouTube sphere for a woman's voice in aviation. That there's a lot of like, hey, I'm an influencer. Hey, look at me flying here. But there's like substance. There's nothing of substance.
I agree. In fact, one of the coolest parts that we're doing over on Pro right now is we're trying to build less of an audience and build more of an engagement platform. Like networking is about engagement. The whole idea of the pilot network is engagement and community building. So like, I don't care if anybody is an audience member of mine. That's not what I'm driving at. I'm not good at it anyways. I'm poor at content. I'm good at like having a conversation, and I want everybody to get good at that too. By the way, that rolls into like interview prep, right? If you're a good communicator, even if you're introverted or conversational topics are not your thing, you can still become an excellent communicator despite that. In fact, you probably are going to be better than guys like Nick and I who are like outgoing and extroverted because we'll just talk. And sometimes we just keep talking. And for you, you actually think about what you say before it comes out of your mouth. And that's actually makes you a better communicator.
Yeah.
But
I've been enjoying Pro recently. So love it. It's a great platform.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I want to get into I want to get into a lot of stuff, but I want to talk about Ready For Pushback first because it's what you're known for now. It's like it has become a known voice in aviation media, as we discussed. When you first got into this world, what problem were you actually trying to solve when you hit that record button for the first time?
I thought everything to get into professional aviation, if you want to become a professional aviator, all you have are the voices around you. And if you were a CFI going through flight training, or you were, a low time pilot or whatever, whoever you were surrounded with and whoever you knew, plus or minus like three people ahead of you, like that was the information that you had. That's it. And so your rumor mill was this, and your rumor mill was that. Or if you're in the Air Force, you only know what your squadron bros have been doing, and like, oh, I did this. We're big dumb animals in the military. We're like, what that guy do? I'm doing just what that guy did. What's going on in this industry? Just what those people told me. And I found I was really annoyed because I would read all the different forums, all the Reddit stuff, all the APC stuff, the depth of knowledge that I could gain, and there was nothing that had a roadmap to it. And that's what I was like, it annoyed the hell out of me. And so I went to Bill and Tron, the owners of Spitfire Elite, and I said, dudes, you need to start a podcast because there's nothing out there. There's a big gap. There's the business of aviation, there's conversations with pilots, but there's nothing in the gap of like, how do I become a professional aviator? Like, who makes these decisions? How do I get there? And how do I make myself better? And that's where the idea came from. And so that's what I do when I put out these episodes. I interview people that are influential in the aviation hiring industry, in the aviation industry as a whole. I interview pilots that have done hard things or had amazing stories. And, you know, like it was really funny. I had one of the Blue Angels on, and Brandon and I had a great conversation. And the very next episode was a guy who was a crop duster who had 13,000 hours of crop dusting time. And each one of those, like, of the cajillion people that listen to this show, like, had the same amount of views. And I love that because it was just so cool. Like for me, it was funny because um, the guy that was the crop duster was really concerned about following up behind a Blue Angel. He's like, dude, I'm not the guy. I'm like, dude, everybody's gonna love this story. So yeah, that's the show. That's how we kind of I pitched it. I pitched it because I wanted them to start it, and they called me and were like, "You're starting a podcast." I was like, "What the hell are you even talking about? I don't know anything." And so here we are. Still
Yeah,
don't know anything.
but I second that. It I guess that it kinda leads perfectly into the next thing I wanted to talk about was when a show like yours gets going, I think all of us have this, like, whether it's podcasting or TPN and or just anything that you do outside where you put something out in the world and you're like, "I don't know if this is gonna work," and you actually get a little bit of traction for the first time. What surprised you most in that traction gaining moment?
I think just I make myself very accessible. I'm like, you type in my name into Google and you'll probably find my phone number. And because like everybody in the aviation industry is like somebody you want to hang out with. And that's what I have found. And because of that, it's really crazy. Well, it's really crazy to have somebody know your voice or have somebody like want to say hi to you or all that. But um gosh, just the amount of people that will reach out, people I talk to people about the craziest things on when I do, like, I don't charge for like career counseling or things like that, but what I do is I can offer you some insight. I can be a shoulder to cry on. I can help give you thoughts about what I would do in those situations, and so I do that. So I hear people like, you know, people will call me with things that had happened in their life, and whether it's a military thing or it's, I crashed an airplane, or I got fired from my job, or I did this thing in the military and I I had to leave. Like, what do I do next? And I've heard some like really um, heartbreaking stories and really amazing stories. And I just love the opportunity. I want to know everybody. I think what we do is so cool. And so like I'm fading away from your question, but that like that contact with people really fills my cup because when I left the military, when I left the squadron, those were my friends, and that was it. And now I'm an airline pilot in a town that I've never lived in before, and my friends are still like the pilots because of this. So I do this just so I can have friends.
And to me, that is a big surprise. It's been to me as well, because when you take off the superhero cape for the last time and you have to go do this other thing, which is in its own right very cool, you lose almost a part of your identity a
Mhm.
little bit, and you try to fill that, like you said, fill your cup up with something else, and it's tough for us to do it, military guys to do it, but then you get to fill it with these people who you meet who you wouldn't have otherwise met, and you're not forced into this silo that you are all in. And now
Mhm.
it's like, wow, you get some really unique stories and very unique backgrounds, and then these friends that you make who become even, maybe you don't talk to them often, but wow, when you get a chance to hang out or talk, it really expands. I've noticed the same thing too, and it's been fun. It's a fun ride, that's for
It
sure.
it is a fun ride, and, like, right behind you got all those patches. I have outside my studio here, I have people bring me patches from their units, you know, civilians that do EMS or fire rescue or, like, all this, like, crazy stuff. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of patches and coins and stuff, like, and all the people that I've come in contact with, and I'm like, "Look how cool these dudes and dudettes are." Like, I it just it is we each do something very unique, and there's a reason there, like, people wanna watch it because people wanna know about, like, "Man, how do I get to be doing that cool stuff?" And because I don't give a shit if anybody's sitting there typing at a computer all day. That's boring as hell. I don't have any patches from accountants from their accounting firm. Like, no. It's like the cool thing that we get to do. Like, that's our special thing. And so yeah, I'm glad I get to be like ride on the same train as everybody else.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I could have cut it in the real world. I had that conversation last night with a friend. I would not have been able. I would have ended up in a very different spot in my life, and probably not not as good of one for sure, mentally, without question.
Yeah.
And that kind of rolls into so for those of you who don't know who are not on pro, we have this thematic uh piece that we're doing going forward. There's going to be a pod that the last pod that came out was about change and what we're talking about with these themes. And before we get into change that you faced, I'll ask kind of a grandiose question, because you had this change where when you went to Spitfire and then you started this pod and
Mm.
all this stuff. What's one thing in aviation? So we're looking big picture. Go back to that big picture view. What's one thing in aviation that hasn't changed nearly enough in your opinion?
Oh, dude.
One, you get to pick one. This is not a 3-hour Nik Fialka diatribe about the nonsense that we both know exists. This is one thing you get to pick.
Oh man. Uh how to pick one. I think I think the biggest change that has like the biggest change that should happen that hasn't happened is the degree of capability of our air traffic control system. Because I hate, like, I spend a lot of time on the ground just waiting to go because they're undermanned and the systems are too antiquated, and you can't get through Jack Center because only seven aircraft are allowed in a sector or whatever the number is, and like, even though, or you can't fly across the Gulf even though the warning areas are not hot. You can, like, they're still not going to give you a shortcut because they don't have enough people to manage you, and that has been kicked down the road since 1985.
Yeah.
And like, I know there's this big push to want to fix it, but like, I'm not a believer. I think I mean, I I cannot imagine a quick change that can be effective. And so, because it takes 4 years to just train up a controller, like, that's the first part. Everything there's so many other layers to that onion. And I think that's the biggest threat to professional aviation. And I think it's too bad. I'm really disappointed in political leadership for the past 30 years on how poorly, like, how they don't care. And that's frustrating to me.
It 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 strikes me in a very unique way of what you just said, and I think it's been frustrating for all of us who are in this who've been in the world long enough to kind of see all sides of it, at least to some extent, or most sides of it, I should say, not all. Um, and it also is this weird testament to how good we are at our jobs, not just the pilots. I'm talking every single piece of the
Mhm.
puzzle that fits into moving one airplane from to another place or going out and executing and prosecuting a mission to completion and doing it nearly flawlessly. It just speaks volumes about the people behind the antiquated technology, the policies in place, the systems, the money behind it. And when you do a good enough job, I mean, in the military, it was the do more with less thing. And it seems like that has just like overflowed into all these world. And it just, I don't know if it's governmental at large, because I can't speak for how it works in like the Department of Commerce or something. But what I can say is it seems like FAA, NTSB, governmental military style flying, it was all of us have done such a bang up job. And they're like, well, you know what? It ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's the first time that they've ever actually done that. Normally, it ain't broke, let's try to fix something, and they make it worse. This has actually been a system that has been held together by what, baling wire and chewing gum, and it's the people who are doing it, and they've been asking for more money and upgrades and all this stuff, and finally, it showed its ugly head, the
Mhm.
pretty to the public with the shutdown, with this last shutdown. And I'm with you, man. It's something that I mean, I rallied behind it. I wrote my congressman on this stuff and saying, you know, specifically about why we need to upgrade the national airspace program writ at large. So yeah, I'm on board with you 100%. I think there's about 50,000 other changes that I would throw in there, but that's like we'll hit that one big time.
Well, you only let me pick one, so there you
I
go.
did, I did, I was on purpose because otherwise this whole podcast would just be about
Just me bitching.
yeah, us complaining about why we can't get why nothing works the way we want it to.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that's broad based. Let's narrow it down to you.
Oh.
What's something minor, like a minor change that you made in your career that ended up having a truly outsized impact? Either it could be one of those small incremental, like micro changes that you made throughout your career that just kind of progressed into this big impactful deal, or one small change that you made that you didn't really realize was going to be have this big important impact as you progressed.
I when I so I was a Navy pilot, and then I got out and I worked in finance, and I worked for a Fortune 100 company, and then I quit that and started my own business. And mostly, like, all of that was due to the fact that, like, you just couldn't get a job in 2009 as an airline pilot. And I, certainly helicopter guy, like, not a chance. And so I just kind of went another way. And then when I started smelling into people talking about, like, look, this is happening. There's a pilot shortage. You should go to do this. You should do that. Um, I spent 2 years telling myself that I couldn't go do it, that it was going to be, it's too big of a jump. It's too hard. The pay is not good enough until you get to a certain point. Like, the regional pay is not good. The the first year pay at a major airline is still not good. I was making pretty good money doing my own thing. And so, like, I got into this analysis paralysis of just not doing it. And if I would have made that change, if I would have just said, in 2014 or 15, like, I just should go do this. It took me a conversation with a guy named Michael Phillips, who's my mentor, where he's 35 years older than I am. And he looked at me, he's like, just get off your ass and freaking do it, dude. Quit talking to me about this. Just do it. I'm like, well, how can I afford it? I got kids. He's like, well, you either do or you don't. What's the worst case scenario that you fail? Like, are they going to starve on the streets? Like, well, no, I'll figure something else out. Well, then just go do it. Like, quit being a baby about it. And, like, he read me the riot act, but that's what you get from an old Marine, right? And so that's like my greatest failure and the biggest change that I should have made that I didn't make.
Wow. I mean, that's to me, that sounds so. And I wanted to ask, but you kind of just answered it right there. Was it intentional or forced on you? It sounds like it was almost forced on you in a way.
Well, I
Cause
was being a bitch.
yeah, I mean, you were,
I was.
and I think, I mean, but to be fair, most of us go through this,
Yeah.
like in one way or the other. I mean, how many guys and girls have we talked to who just like, they cannot seem they're stuck in this limbo for so long, and they're choosing between good and great or great and great. They're just two different versions.
Mhm.
And or even something like a good friend of mine, he's young, he's a wide body FO. I mean, I think he's 30 or 31, wide
Oh,
body
man.
FO. He's
Yeah.
been that, and now he's on like year 3,
Ah,
still flying for the military
huh.
part-time. And we're talking about making an investment, and it was a fair chunk of change. I mean, it was $50,000. It's a lot of money for a lot of people. And I said, okay, in the long run, that amount of money is nothing to you. Right now, it's a lot. And I understand that. But I go, if you look at yourself in 10 years
Mm.
and that $50,000 meant the difference between you affording a lifestyle that you love and the family and everything else. I go, you've made so many other poor choices and decisions along the way. I said, this allows you the opportunity to expand your horizons, open up like I'm always talking about opening your aperture and seeing what else is out there other than just this. Okay, I put my blinders on a lockdown and I'm going this way. There's a time and a place for all that in your life. But in a case like when you're trying to decide what you're going to do with your career, and if you're not happy with where you're at professionally, and you just sit back and you analyze and analyze and analyze, you're making a mistake by not doing something, putting that one foot in the front of the other and moving towards the direction that you think maybe I want to go. Who knows? If I don't get there, maybe okay, maybe it wasn't meant to be. But like if you just sit there and analyze, I, I did that with real estate for like 5 years. I was like, I'm gonna get into real estate. I'm gonna do this, and I just sat there and looked at these deals. And finally, one day, I'm like, I just got to buy something. I just got to get in and see what it's like. And I think it's forced on you in a way. Like it seems like it was forced on you by your mentor, and then it was also like you had to put some intention behind it. And it, just to clarify, what was the signal that you really ignored at first to make that kind of that move?
I think that I was ignoring the I in my mind, I had been out of the cockpit for, like, 5 years, and I thought, like, there's no way that, this there was an I mean, there wasn't even that big of an outlay of cash for me to go do it. I think I spent $6,000 or something like that to get to the point where I was, like, hireable at a regional,
Mhm.
and it wasn't even that much money, but I think that, um I just was too focused on, um I wanted somebody else to make the decision for me, and that's what I needed to hear from Michael, because he's known me since I was 16 years old, and so, when you know somebody that long, like, you just I was tripping over myself, and I just think that there's n I'd still be thinking about it right now if I didn't get that push, so.
Well, in where it, our careers in aviation rarely go as planned, right? Like, sounds like,
Mm.
I mean, you retired and then I'm not going to be an airline guy. I'm going to go do this finance thing, and this is it. This is my future.
Yeah.
I mean, when I left active duty, I went to the reserves. First, when I first started active duty, not even active duty. When I was in ROTC, I'm like, I'm a career active duty guy for as long. I'll stay in as long as I can. I'll fly for free.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, when you first start. And then 4 years after I graduated college, I was and got commissioned. I was going to the reserves. Okay, so obviously I had pivoted along that path. And when I got to the reserves, man, I was so clueless about what I wanted to do. I didn't know about the airlines the way there wasn't just that much information. I got to a reserve unit, it's a bunch of airline guys, and they're telling me all the bad stuff and some of the good stuff and whatever. And I realized that I had no clue what I was doing, and I didn't know how to necessarily pivot. And your biggest professional pivot was obviously going from I am not a pilot any longer to I am going to be a professional pilot again. Was that what was do you think in hindsight, obviously not during, but in hindsight, that foray into the finance world and getting out of aviation completely was a temporary detour? Or do you think it was truly the new direction that you were taking, and that was where you were at, and you were just letting the fear stop you or say, "Nope, this is what I really wanna do."
No, I had a different mindset, because it was when I got out of active duty, it was '09, right? And so that I was going to go like work in finance, start my own business, and become a millionaire. And that's my process. Like that's how it works. Okay. So you get out, you go do a thing in finance, and then you start your thing and you're a millionaire. And that was the plan. And when I started the business, it was way more work than I had thought about, and it was way more, like, the level of effort if you know, when in the military, I feel like we're notorious for figuring out, like, "Man, these are how many hours I work, and this is my salary. So this is what I'm getting paid by the hour." You know, that math problem where it's like, "This is like $1.12 an hour." Um, that number like, that was still the case, like, my level of effort was completely, like 18-hour days, sweating in the summer, freezing in the winter, um, up at 2 o'clock in the morning, like, doing all those things, and my airline pilot buddies were not, and they were living the life, and they're always ready to hang out because they had 17 days off a month. And they're like, "Let's go do this, let's go do that." And I was like, "No, I gotta work, gotta work, gotta work, gotta work." I was like and they said, "Stop working, stop." And so, um, I mean, now like at the kids' school, like the dads think I'm like some homeless drug dealer or something. Like I show up, I've got a like scruffy beard. I'm over there, you know, 3, 4 days a week, and everybody else is like getting ready for work. I'm like, sipping my coffee, gonna go chill out on the porch. I might just sit on the porch all day. I don't know. I got big plans of more sitting on the porch. Like, and they're like, what is that? I'm like, that's professional aviation, man. It's what
Yeah,
we do.
it is. It's a front-loaded effort
Yeah,
schedule.
it is.
I think, going back to that transitional period you had there when you from military to airlines later on, it costs us something when we do this, when we don't find what we wanna be or where we're supposed to be or whatever you wanna call it, whatever thing is in your head that makes this sense to you. What was your cost? Like, financially, it sounds like it wouldn't have mattered. You would have figured that piece out because you had the knowledge base to be successful in the finance world. But emotionally, or maybe relationally, that world, the intangibles, what do you feel that that period was costing you at the time?
You know, I think what was that period costing me? I think it cost like it was a lot when I was hemming and hawing about it. One of the big holdups I had was like being away from the family, being gone. And there was the dude that made the Lego pilot videos, which are epic and amazing. One of them is all about like the wife talking to the other wife about like, don't you think he's cheating on you with the overnight and this and that? And like, I really took that to heart a lot. And I just not that not that I would, but like pressures and things like that. And like, I love like my time at home is like the most important thing. And raising these kids and spending time with my wife, like she's my best pal. Like this is what we do, and I love it. And that was really hard to come to grips with at first. Once I started doing it, I was like, "Oh, man, I'm with her way more, like exponentially more than I was." Like being gone on a 3 day and then coming home and being home for like 5 straight days, 24 hours a day and not having because I was working from like 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. every day, like 7 days a week. And I didn't even realize it that I was like gone even though I was there. So
You
I
were
don't know if that answers your question.
No, it totally does. You're home, but you weren't present.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I mean, I always wonder, I hear that from the military. I'm home every night, I sleep in my own bed. I'm like, "Hey, cool, you sleep in your own bed, but you wake
great.
up and are you actually part of your family? Are you part of the process of what's going on at home?"
Mhm.
I had a guy in my new hire class, he's older, and I remember he had been, he was waiting for his Senate confirmation hearing as a general, and he had dropped his retirement paperwork, and I remember his 3-star was yelling at him and whatever, and he said, he told me, why he did it, and I don't really remember the why, but I remember this far more. So at the end, we got through Indoc, we come back, and he had the same training footprint I did. So, and he was in a different airplane, but we had both checked out the last day, and I remember we're in the parking lot walking together. I'm like, "How was it, man? You know, what this totally different." He was a F-15 guy, and he said, "Dude, over the last 6 weeks, the relationship with my kids and my wife has started to heal.
Mm,
Like, we're more closely knit. My kids are talking to me again," because he said, "I didn't realize it. Yeah, I was home all the time. I was home every night, but it was the next day of the fires I was gonna put out. The fact that I couldn't make any real change at where I was in the Pentagon, and I was just pushing I was Sisyphus pushing this boulder uphill, and I thought it was only professionally, but it was actually with my family as well."
mhm.
And if you take that, I think for what I'm trying to say to everybody out there is, if you are in this world of paralysis by analysis, or analysis paralysis, whatever you wanna call it, the the fact of the matter is you will have a wholly different feel for your family and your family life once you get to the other side. And if you are intentional, it becomes a really good place to be, to make your family feel better and more, I don't know, excited to have you around. I mean, my kids are still little, so when I show up, when I'm coming back from a trip, it's, hero time, "Dad's home," all that stuff. And one day I know it won't be like that, and that's fine. I get that. But like, the fact is I'm here when they're little, and I get to spend those days with them, pick them up from school, drop like days where I get to drop them off, pick them up, and go out that evening with them. And then the next morning I'm still home, do the same thing. And a lot of dads look at me like they look at you. They're like, what do you actually do? And I'm like, that's kind of being an airline pilot. So yeah, I get it. So we veered off, and that's what this podcast is known for. Um, if it's known at all, is, I think it leads into the, if we're in this phase, and you touched on it briefly, but if we're feeling stuck and but stable in our career field, or choice that we're in, but we want to move somewhere else, what would you give somebody as the first, like, real honest question they can ask themselves to get out of that deadlock that they're in?
If you are trying to make a life decision, um, there are like you can pro con it all day. You can decide, you can force yourself in being scared. And if that's the case, whether it's if you should go to like try to become an airline pilot and think about the time that you're gonna have to spend at the regionals, or whether it's, should I leave the military? Should I stay in the military? Especially getting out of the military, that's scary as hell. Like you've got Stockholm syndrome, like you really do. And so we are super capable humans that are pilots. Like we can do all the hard things. Like they pay you so much money to be a flying insurance policy. They also pay you so much money to be away from your family.
Mhm.
And like worst case scenario, all of us went to SEER school that are in the military. Like I can live on the streets and survive and be just fine. And even if like my house got foreclosed on or whatever, like I can pivot. I'm a strong enough leader, and I know like, okay, not this, something else. And so have confidence in yourself to be able to pivot, but also like ride the train because you only get one chance, and all of a sudden you're 65 years old. Like you blink your eyes and your kids are out of the house. Like your wife might be up all night nursing the baby. and that baby is gone before you wake up the next morning because it's just so fast. And this opportunity that you have right now to get into a time when people are hiring, like we are one September 11th part 2 or COVID part 27 or bankruptcies.com. Like we're one of those away from a big misfire. And there are still people getting furloughed right now. However, there is opportunity in abundance. And so, even if you can't do the thing that you want to do, like your end goal right now, your end state, you can't get to it, you can get to the next step, and you can get to the next step, and you get to the next step. And so, um, don't be afraid of that because that's like that lie that you tell yourself, like that I can't do it. I'm not supposed to do it. I like it's just too much. I should do this instead. That is a lie from the depths that just like controls every human and you have to bust out of your psyche. And I'm not sure how like listen to my solo episodes, get some motivation and just effing do it.
I think you you hit on something there with get out of your own head. Maybe ask yourself, get like, is this ego driven? Is this identity driven? What am I doing? Might be a good place to start. And kind of going down that road is what part of your identity, and let's kind of narrow this down to since you started flying for the carrier you're at now,
Mhm.
what part of your identity has changed the most over the last few years? I mean, you're a captain, like some people hold that pretty close to the chest. Like,
Oh, the captain part?
yeah, I mean, not it's not like it used to be, but there is I'm the captain now kind of attitude.
Mhm.
Um, what would you say? Because I mean, I know I can tell you how my identity has changed over the last 8 years, basically since my daughter was born, but my
Mhm.
oldest. How is it? What has been the biggest identity change for you over the last, we'll say, since you started at your carrier?
Uh, I am like I'm like a golden retriever. Like I wanna please. I want like everybody to feel good about the thing and to do the like and to be positive about it. Like I can make an unpopular decision for whatever reason, but also like I want us all to have a good time. And I think the thing that's changed most is like the satisfaction that I get at this job here is like it's a lot different. Like the military thing was like um you know just putting on your boots, putting on your flight suit, put on your flight suit first though. And just kind of going through it. It was fun, but boy, the drudgery, man. And then the business, the finance side of the house was just like sitting and sitting and sitting. And I felt like there was this big gap, like I was missing something. And the thing I like most is talking to the passengers and meeting the people and like knowing that I'm part of like I literally like most pilots don't do that. Most like airline pilots don't do this, but I reach out and I spend time with the passengers. I at the gatehouse, I talk to people. I make an announcement to the passengers before I go. I'm one of the only pilots that does that in all of aviation because I want them to know, like, hey, we're all in this together. Let's go have a good time. Like, we're like, it's the miracle of flight, y'all. Like, we're gonna go do this. This is crazy shit. So let's go and let's have a good time doing it. It might be bumpy. We might have a maintenance problem. We might divert because of weather. But like, let's go do it. And so like that part, the engagement with the customer, I take it like that's important to me. And it's a funny thing because everybody else is just kind of like, oh, I just want to go to the front, close the door, be done. I'm like, nah, man, who's sitting in first class? Like who's sitting in the back? Who's, like let me high five all these kids. Like it's great. So probably makes me a little bit of a weird one. But if you do that, if you engage with them, like, man, that's like level of job satisfaction, like just skyrockets.
Does does that drive any part of your ego?
Um,
Is there a little ego boost there?
it might, um,
And it's okay. I mean, it's okay to say yes. Like it's okay. Like
no,
I love when I stand up in front of TPNX, it's a ego slam dunk, man. Like you feel like, I mean, you got 400, 500 people standing there hanging on your words.
I
It's
think that the ego slam dunk is when my FO knows me because of the podcast. You know,
Yeah.
like when I like the ego slam dunks is like when people stop me who know who I am. Because like I'm like I don't think I'm anybody like special or what. I don't tell like my FOs. If you don't know that I have a show, like I'm not talking about it. Like
Yeah.
if you ask, because I think people should ask questions about like, tell me about you, tell me about what you do. Do you have side hustles? Do you like, what are all your things? Very few people like ask me, and so when they do, like I'll tell them all the things, and they're like, "What? Are you crazy?" And or like um some jump seater comes in and is like, holy shit, I know who you are, or somebody recognizes my voice or whatever. Like um that's like the big ego stroke. I think that the passengers, I don't know if that's an ego stroke. I just like I feel like it's a little bit of my love language. So
Yes.
it's true.
It's true. I'm all same. I've had it happen, and I feel the same. So that now that you have this platform and you get to talk about it, sometimes people ask,
Mhm.
um, and to be fair to both of us, it does stroke the ego when somebody knows who you are
Yeah.
that you don't know them. I get why fame is an alluring deal. I mean, to me, there's a level of it that I would never want to get to, and
Oh yeah.
it ain't gonna happen.
Look, I had a controller recognize my voice once on the radios.
Oh,
That was it.
that's wild. That's
That was awesome.
Has having this platform and being in this world, has that ever changed the way you kind of think about the words that you deliver? Not only on the podcast, but, like, actually in person, like, where it kinda transition and moves over to all these different parts of your life. It's not just, I turn the camera on, I'm one guy, and then because people always, tell me, like, "Oh, sometimes you be a little campy, maybe you're a, say, used car salesman, you're, blah, 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 blah." I'm like,
Mhm.
"That's how I am all the time." Like, that's just me, I'm like, I don't have at 47 years old, I don't have, like, this drive to be something else that I'm not any longer. It's just that's what you see is what you get. And maybe I choose my words a little more carefully because I can be an offensive person. My wife will fully
Mhm.
for that. So has this changed kind of the way that you think about how you use language?
I've already cursed a couple times on your show.
That's okay. We can put the E on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I am highly aware. I'm highly aware of the show and making sure like I would hate for somebody to go on the internet or something and be like, I met that guy, what an asshole. And I'm probably I try to be on my game. And I'll tell you what, the hardest time is when you're in the middle of like a medical emergency or a divert or whatever. Like, life is stressful. Like, as a pilot, you've got to handle all that. But I also feel like it's made me sharper and better. Um, I Authenticity is one of the things I talk about a lot. Like, be your real self, because nobody like n- they're going to see right through you. And so um I like my show, my like I don't prepare for my shows. I literally just go. And because it's who I am, and it's this, like I was doing VA paperwork before we started recording, and I just like hopped on, I'm like ready to go. I didn't like Sorry to say, I didn't spend time like doing a deep dive into my life to figure out what to say. But you what you see is what you get on the show. I think that I think that if you came to dinner or we were to hang out at a soccer game, we would have the same experience. But I also do think like people think, um, I have seen pilot influencers in real life walking around the airport and like, um, and some are assholes. And I'm like, oh, look at that. That's not like your Instagram feed. And so, hey, everybody's got their thing. And so boy, golly, I hope I'm just a regular person. But I also, like I go to TPNX, I go to OBAP and Women in Aviation, all the things, and like so I'm there meeting the people and spending time with the people, and like afterwards we're having drinks and we're having dinner and we're like having like all those things. And so if I'm in person 24 hours a day, like you're gonna see at some point you're gonna see. like that's either him or like this is a persona and he's shutting it down and he's really something else. So that's interesting. I never really chewed on that. I think
It's
my kids think more like, "Oh, my dad is famous." I'm like, "I'm not famous. I'm like the king of the nerds." Like,
yeah,
come on.
yeah, I'm famous at, like, I'm the most famous person in my own head kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, it well, you when you mention the influencer thing, it makes me wanna ask, what's our responsibility as, like, okay,
Yeah.
I am not, nor will I ever be an influencer. If I am by accident, then I apologize to everybody out there. I should not be influencing you in any way, shape, or form, except for what not to do, um, in most aspects. But what is our responsibility, especially, I think, in times of uncertainty, which I don't think we're in one now. Some people think we are. And yes, we can extract, like, what's going on at a couple airlines right now, which there are uncertainty for smaller certain carriers. But the overarching industry whole is, there's still people that need to they need people to fly airplanes, and there's
Yeah.
just not a shortage, but there's not enough bodies to fill seats that are open right now, for a host of different reasons. So what is our responsibility then when we're out there, whether it's the influencers that are walking around who are more geared towards the nine flying public, let's be frank, a lot of them are, but the rest of them who are geared towards the pilot side. And I mean, I have one in my head that I'll share afterwards, but in times of uncertainty, and we can talk about hiring or, volatility or, accident stuff or whatever. What's your thoughts?
So most aviation influencers don't make big money from their their thing. Like Instagram's not paying even if with 200,000 followers, unless you've got like some sponsor like that you're shilling for, like that is mostly like honestly it's just an ego stroke, right? You want to talk about those ego stroke things. Um and that like that curated life, because it's not like when you are a pilot and you experience, you do your thing and you experience what it's like to be a professional pilot for 24 hours and you're like, boy, that's not very exciting. But boy, those Instagram reels are cool as hell.
Mm,
So that's, it is what you make of it. What's the responsibility? I certainly, man, I carry a heavy load of responsibility for the aviation community. And that's like why, like, once I started doing this and like I started to become the person that people reach out to, like, hey, I want to talk about hiring. I want to do like, what's this company doing? What's that company doing? How do I get on with this company? I can't, I've got 400 hours. I can't get hired. There's nobody hiring right now. Like, well, not yet. Hold on. Like, and so that the level of responsibility, I have to be super I have to be really on my game with what's happening in the industry because everybody expects like what I say, like they're gonna make a life decision based on a conversation with me. Like I've probably had 10 phone calls today and it's just after lunch. Um, and that's great. And I'm excited. And I try, but also like I'm like, if I'm giving you some opinion, like, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not your spouse. Like, you have to do what's best for you. If this were in my field right now and I had to make this decision, here are the things I'd be thinking about. Here are the things I would be worried about. And so like, and also if you want to talk again, like, let's re-engage, but make your decision. You have to make your own decision. You have to gather all the data. And that's what I want you to do when you're talking to me is like gather data. But also I don't like my company. I don't talk about what company I work for. I don't because I don't want to get fired if I say something bad. And but my company also has a ton of social media stuff where like all the pilots will talk to each other. I don't engage on those platforms and be like, hey, let me tell you this or that from the like there are a lot of people with hot takes going on over there. And every now and then I'll be like, hey, your kid's finished in flight school. You've got questions about stuff. You want to talk about the airlines and hiring, give me a call. And everybody's like, oh, are you in the hiring department? Like, no, I'm not. Well, what qualifies you? Nothing,
mm,
nothing at all. You don't have to talk to me if you don't want to talk to me.
mm.
But if you do talk to me, be thankful that you did.
Yeah. And
So
It's a weighty responsibility when you know what you're capable of in the background and others don't. You don't have a credentialed license
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Maybe
mean?
I should make my own
You should.
credential.
Yeah, you can. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it.
Put some letters after my name.
Well, it's funny because you say that, and so because my big thing, and this is my hot take, if you want to call it that. Um, my number one problem with influencers, YouTube, whoever you want to talk about it,
Me.
podcasters, it doesn't matter. You,
Yep.
um, if you go out you are in aviation space and you decide to release a video about an accident immediately after the
Oh, don't get me started.
dude, I have
I hate that.
I think it is the most irresponsible. I think it is one of the it is like a cardinal sin of aviation to Monday morning quarterback something before the NTSB releases their safety report,
Shame on those. There's a special place in hell for that.
and there's a lot of them, and
I know.
it
And
is
you should, and everybody should make negative comments.
yes,
I
it's
can't,
it's clickbaity.
it's awful. It is awful. And some people make a lot of money off of that.
Mhm.
And that is like the fact that it's driven by money. Like, God, I just had like, as a former mishap investigator and all that, like, man, you want to like when I meet one of those people, like I'm not a pleasant person. You want to like when Nick turns it off, like I can go I can snap my fingers and go into citadel mode, like military mode, like in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And never do, but like I will like I'm that's the one like, that's the one thing. I'm like, "Go show off the fact that you look pretty in an airplane and that you got a cool overnight in St. Thomas or that you're going to fly a drone or you're gonna go do whatever." Great. You're 25 and you made it to a major, like, great. But, like, that part of, like, the Biffle family just all died and a guy that just retired from an airline died with his son, like, it's awful.
Mhm.
Let it be. Let
Yeah,
it be.
yeah. Send your best regards and leave the rest for what's gonna happen in the future. It
Mm,
actually infuriates me so much, and
me
it's
too.
I don't call out pilots for anything ex
Shame, shame.
except for that. That's a shameful act, and it's the one thing I will stand by. It's probably the only hot take I've ever given on this podcast,
Yeah.
and it's the only thing I will ever give. If you're doing it,
Mm,
stop. I know that like, you're not driving engagement, which is nonsense. You're trying to get people to click on a video so you can make more money.
and you're not involved in the investigation, so let it be.
So you don't know, and you are doing active harm to the people who are involved, whether you think you are or not, because
Mhm,
you're promoting an opinion piece. I had the producer of Green Dot Aviation. He
mm,
takes very old accident and mishaps and
mhm.
talks about them from a very different lens, and it's really good stuff.
Yeah,
I think he does a great job, and he's a young guy. I won't call him a kid, but he's a younger guy, and he's just finishing up his professional aviation training over in Europe. Really, I love what he's doing. That is the way you're gonna do it. And
yeah,
he drives people to the channel. It's good, it's well produced. But if you're just gonna sit on the screen and talk about, even if you're not saying anything negative, you're talking about something that you don't know anything about. You
yep.
need to stop now. I know this isn't gonna stop anybody from doing it, but if we can go out there as a collective and let these people know that what they're doing is harmful, because the people who are watching it are either pilots who are disgusted by the act of these guys, and they're almost all guys doing it, or it's the non-flying public, and then they're reading into it as, well, this is a pilot talking about it, so it must be accurate. I rarely even comment when my friends ask me on something that happened. They're like, "What do you think?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know enough about the case. I haven't seen the safety report. I don't know what the acts investigators found. I will wait until it comes out to make a comment. Sometimes they'll really be like, "Are what do you think?" And I go, "Well, what I think is this." Um, and that's only because I have a limited amount of information, but I have no opinion other than that. And I normally try to even avoid that conversation completely.
When I was at the Naval School of Aviation Safety, and we teach we do case studies on mishaps and look at all the causal factors, look at all the things that that transpired to create that accident. And then we look at like what things have changed, like what change did this drive? And then we look at how can you be a better pilot by learning from these mishaps so that it doesn't happen to you. And that is a totally different mindset than just like, hey, this thing just happened and blah, blah, blah. So I think that there is so much that you can learn as a pilot by looking at mistakes from the past, and you can make yourself better, and you should. But like some hot take bullcrap, like that's not for here.
No, it's gotta go.
It's gotta go. I agree.
It's gotta go. Yeah.
We're old men. You're 47. I'm 46. So I'll be 47 next month.
If we want to talk about it in closed circles, that's one thing.
Yeah.
We'll do that, and pilots will do that. And that is whether people think it's this case or not, it is probably making you, if not get better, it's making you more aware of just stuff that you're doing when you're flying.
I have handed off an aircraft to a person who died in that aircraft 30 minutes later, and I know what that feels like, and it's terrible.
Yeah. So talk inside the circle. It's not, I in my mind, it's promoted because you're making yourself more aware when you go up to fly. I mean, now I had a commander once show me the C-17 crash up in Elmendorf for the air show practice as I was stepping. And I'm like, all right, that might have been a little mistimed. But the way, talking about it at the squadron bar or whatever, or in your circle of friends is great because maybe you'll miss a checklist step and you'll be able to get back to it quicker, or your mind expands a little bit. And that's from being just throwing out hypotheses on what could have happened, but going out and showing it in a public forum and even though you say, I'm not the expert, people, when you say you're a pilot, they immediately think that you are the be all end all and know all of what happened.
And these dudes are in their white shirt with their eppaulettes. Like, get out of here, man.
Yeah, I actually know one of the guys that you're talking about, and that really, to borrow a line from Family Guy, really grinds my gears. So yeah, it's terrible. Let's get off the negative.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry. I hope you enjoyed that. Apologies, but also take it for what it's worth. And
I mean, you can edit this out if you want. Like,
hell no, man. I want people to know. So okay, getting back and kind of putting a close on a lot of this. Let's get back to kind of we're going to go kind of scroll back out or zoom back out. If you could send kind of one big message to pilots who are navigating, whether it's a transitional phase in their career, a personal thing, whatever it is, or they're contemplating a big change like right now, what's the one message that you would send to those folks?
If you don't take the risk, you're not going to find out. And so you should educate yourself the most you can. And at some point, it's going to be on your shoulders to make a decision for you and your family. And whatever decision you make, go with it and don't look back. That's what I say.
I love it because I wish somebody would have told me that a long time ago, or told it to me repeatedly. Maybe I need to hear it more.
I need to tell it to myself like every day.
Yeah, I still need to do it. And it has nothing to do with aviation anymore, which is the funny part, right? Like,
yeah, I know.
None of it has to do with flying airplanes anymore. It's got to do with everything else in my personal and professional life outside of aviation. Well, all right, Nick, we covered a range of things and we try to keep it around the theme. Where can people find you, and which episode should they listen to first? That's the hardest question of the whole thing.
Oh, no, that's easy for me.
Okay, so where can people find you?
Okay, so the show is called Ready for Pushback. You can find it on you can find it on the YouTubes. You can find it on Instagram. You can find it on all podcast platforms, like all of it. Spitfire Elite Interview Consulting. You can find us at spitfireelite.com. That's us. If you need interview prep and you only want the best, that's the only choice in professional aviation. And I've done lots of different companies and I work for Spitfire. So that's what I'll tell you with that. If you're going to go listen to a show, you're going to watch a show, you should watch it. You should go on YouTube and type in Ready for Pushback and resume. And that I do a deep dive into a professional pilot resume because it is very specific. I have looked at tens of thousands of resumes, and I feel like that is your starting off point. And so you need to get that. You need to get your thoughts together. You need to get yourself organized, and that is the show I would send you to. And it's the whole show is just helping you craft the right thing. So you can hop over to the website and download a template for a free pilot template for your resume, and then you can work off what I talk about. If you want to chew on it and chat with me, send me an email, podcast@spitfireelite.com, and find me on LinkedIn. Do connect. If you don't have your LinkedIn sorted out, get that stuff done now. That is like the if you wanna you're like, "Man, how do I find somebody that's at United or American or Delta?" If you wanna know who the directors are, the directors of hiring and, like, the recruiters, like, they are all connected to me on LinkedIn, and we chat, and you should engage.
Yes, engagement. It's, this is called the Pilot Network podcast and the Pilot Network for a reason because networking is driving engagement and vice versa. Nick, thanks as always for being on the show, for being my friend, for being part of this grand aviation community and part of the Pilot Network. For all those who are out there who want to get a hold of Matt or I for any reason or no reason in particular, you just want to have a chat. Hey guys, pilotnetwork.com. Go to the pilotnetwork.com. You can find us through all the links, socials, whatever, however you want to do it. We're there. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say keep the shiny side up and that greasy side down. Fly safe, everybody.